As people began to live on this land, they left behind many traces. We followed their footsteps to go back in time. Let's take a look at the lives of the ancient people 3,000 years ago. During the Bronze Age, the food and farming technology were not that different from our current lives today. It was an age where people began to cultivate rice and grow various grains, such as adzuki beans, barley, and sorghum. The new and improved farming tools that innovated agricultural production were also very similar. The sickles and hoes that we use today were already made during the Bronze Age. Due to the development of farming techniques, the Bronze Age people were able to lead a stable life and amass riches. The development of agriculture led to abundance. However, that created a rift between those who were rich and those who were not, and that led to war as people plundered each other. Defenses were built around the village to prepare for invasions. A society where farming was the main source of securing food. War was an inevitable choice in order to protect the year's harvest and the survival of the tribe. In this way, agriculture created a different world in the Bronze Age. As wars became more frequent, the head of tribes became more powerful. Bronze castings were valuable items that only the privileged class, such as tribal leaders, could own. The bronze rattles and bronze mirrors that were excavated from the graves of these rulers show that the tribal leaders were also a powerful religious authority. Tribal leaders were rulers who held power, but also executed religious rites with the bronze artifacts. They were leaders who led the society in the Bronze Age. Dolmens are the main megalithic culture in Korea, which preserve the traces of the Bronze Age. There are many in number, and they come in different shapes and sizes. Northern-style dolmens buried the bodies by erecting 4 flagstones to create a rectangular stone chamber on which a large flat stone was placed on top. The chambers of the northern-style dolmens are exposed above ground. Table-type dolmens dug a chamber underneath the ground and placed a large stone as a lid to cover the chamber. It is the most common type found in the Korean peninsula. Southern-style dolmens first dig the ground, after which a stone chamber is made in which the body is laid. Then several smaller footstones are placed around the chamber, on which a large cover stone is placed on top. Southern-style dolmens was the most popular type of tomb during the Bronze Age and early Iron Age. Owing to the development of the Bronze Age, the society that built such massive gravestones became an even more powerful and systematic society. The large community slowly began showing signs of becoming a state and established the foundation for the first nation, Gojoseon. The Bronze Age society was a civilization that prospered between 10th and 4th century BC. It achieved great developments through innovation. In the Korean peninsula 3,000 years ago, a dynamic history beyond our imagination unfolded. It was pure coincidence. In the spring of 1977, a U.S. soldier who was on a date near Hantangang River in Cheonggongri, Yeoncheon, Gyeonggi-do Province picked up a stone. It was the moment that he found a piece of crucial evidence that would rewrite the world's Paleolithic history. The stone was 15 centimeters in length and 4 centimeters in width. U.S. soldier Greg Bowen had studied archaeology and knew instinctively that the stone was no ordinary stone. Later, he sent his findings to Professor Francois Borde, a leading expert in archaeology. Perhaps this stone could provide a clue regarding a forgotten time. Through Professor Borde, Greg Bowen asked Seoul National University to appraise it. So Korean experts conducted an investigation, and the following year, the SNU museum team announced that a 30,000-year-old Acheulean hand axe had been found in Cheonggongri. It was an epic event that shocked the world's archaeological circles. What was it about this stone that created such shockwaves? The Paleolithic era was a time when choppers were moving on to hand axes. But the archaeological community believed that hand axes only existed in Europe and Africa and did not exist in East Asia. But the hand axe discovered in Cheonggongri overthrew the existing theory. Then what is a chopper? It is assumed to be an early type of tool used by prehistoric mankind, and only one side of the stone is sharp, thus relatively easy to make. It is used to chop objects or dig the ground, but must be held in both hands to use. But the hand axe is not that easy to make. It needs a well-thought-out plan, a design of sorts. In order to sharpen both edges, a certain amount of pressure must be applied, and the handheld part must also be taken under consideration. In this way, a much smaller and lighter tool than the chopper was born. The tool was sharper and could be held with one hand. It was the Acheulean hand axe. Being able to make a tool that can be held with one hand, the Acheulean hand axe proves that a crucial advancement in technology was made. In the Cheonggongri area, traces that hand axes were made were also found, such as flakes that fell off when the stone was being broken, as well as the stone blocks. At this point, a question arises: how sophisticated was the technology to make hand axes? In Paleolithic sites, hand axes are usually found with animal bones. Could that mean that hand axes were used as hunting tools? We decided to try out the hand axe. The double edges are almost as sharp as knives. It would have been possible to cut up the meat of an animal that was hunted. It is also possible to dig the ground. Unlike the chopper where both hands were needed, only one hand was needed to hold the hand axe. The value and usage of the hand axe as a tool was greatly improved. It moved on from two hands to one, and from a simple making process to an intentionally planned out process. Even now, the Hantangang River area in Cheonggongri is full of stones whose origins are unknown. A single stone that was found by chance and changed the world's archaeological history. It was the Acheulean hand axe.